done ever since an ED team raided his residence on 5th of January. TMC strongman Sheikh Shahjahan was finally arrested from Meena Khan police station area last midnight by West Bengal police. Now, he was produced in the court today afternoon and sent to 10 days of police custody. The West Bengal Police Criminal Investigation Department has taken over this probe in the case lodged under the Nazat police station in the complaint filed by the Deputy Director of the Enforcement Directorate. This was in connection with the attack on ED officials on 5th of January, mind you, and not those charges of women exploitation. Meanwhile, the Calcutta High Court, while hearing a bail plea filed by Sheikh Shahjahan this afternoon, came down heavily on the former Trinamool Congress leader, stating that it had no sympathy for him. A war of words has also broken out between TMC and the Bharatiya Janata Party over Sheikh Shahjahan's arrest, with the former claiming credit as Raj Dharma and the latter countering this arrest, calling it nothing but a staged dharma. Remembering, now the West Bengal Chief Minister herself has even shielded Sheikh Shahjahan on the floor of the assembly, claiming that this was being targeted by ED for vendetta. The women of Sandeshkhali, who in fact mustered up courage to speak out against Sheikh Shahjahan and his men, levelling serious allegations of land grab, even sexual exploitation, are rejoicing today after the main accused, who they wanted behind bars, has been nabbed. Now, CNN News 18 has also accessed sensational documents, which we will be showing you later on the show, on how numerous cases were there against Sheikh Shahjahan, but either he was not charge sheeted or not, there was no investigation at all in the cases later. Despite so many serious charges, what took the Bengal police so long in arresting him? Was he being shielded by the West Bengal police? This is the big question that we will be taking to our guests, but in just a bit. On that note, let me also bring you some exclusive documents that have been accessed by CNN News 18 that in fact point fingers towards the West Bengal police. This is the document of June 9th, 2019, which in fact has an FIR naming Shahjahan. 150 to 200 armed people with deadly weapons have been mentioned in that FIR. But as far as the 2019 investigation is concerned, the charge sheet is not even available at the moment. In fact, on 9th of June, the FIR also states that the residence of Devdas Mandal was vandalized. The FIR registered in the name of Shahjahan later was in fact deleted. It in fact goes on to blacken his name. The FIR also states that the victim tried to flee. Later, he could not even be traced. What happened? Well, the investigation also names 23 in the charge sheet. This is also Shahjahan along with Ghazi, who threatened a Sandeshkhali local over there. As far as the investigation was concerned, as we mentioned, there were 23 who were named. Only 6 were charge sheeted in this entire investigation. A second FIR that also names the Sandeshkhali local, Devdas Mandal, many others. The investigation again, the probe against Shahjahan is still pending as far as that second FIR is concerned. Mandal was in fact beaten up, abducted. He could not even be traced later. The charges in the FIR have in fact been diluted during the filing of the charge sheet. And when we are talking about these charges, we are also indicating, we will prove you that, Shahjahan's name was also removed. Mandal was beaten up, abducted. He could not even be traced later. This is all to do with the second FIR. And in this FIR, the name has also been diluted. Let's also in fact bring you some breaking inputs we are getting in at the moment. We are learning, this is with regards to the GDP. The Indian economy, the latest inputs are now highlighting the fact is growing by 8.4% in October till December. This is the data that we have received from 2023 against a 4.3% a year ago. The government data has indicated that the Indian economy is to grow at 7.6% from the financial year 2023 up to 2024 compared to the revised estimate of 7% for the financial year 2023. This is the government data. For more details, let's quickly go across to Shweta Punja of Money Control, who's joining me right now. Shweta, do share the details of the data that have come in, and what do they go on to indicate, that too when we are just months away from the Lok Sabha election?
Right, absolutely. A very interesting and positive set of numbers coming in today. India's growth has accelerated according to the current set of numbers to 8.4% in the third quarter, and for this entire fiscal year, growth is pegged at 7.6%. I'd just like to highlight that the estimates were for growth for the year have been between 6.5 to 7%. In fact, for the third quarter, for which growth has come in at 8.4%, the expectation was for the growth to slow down. So what is it that the economists are reading or what is it that they are not reading? Because clearly there's a mismatch here, between what the economists were expecting and what has come out. In fact, Money Control had conducted a poll of economists which had shown that GDP for the third quarter could slow down to a three-quarter low of 6.5%. Now, what's really driving this growth? It clearly seems like non-farm related activities, manufacturing and services have driven this growth number, because agricultural growth has been quite tepid. Also, exports interestingly seem to have contributed to the India growth at the moment. Construction sector again has seen double-digit growth of 10.7%. So that's another sector that seems to have really contributed to a robust growth number.
Shweta, there's another interesting aspect that I'd like to draw your attention to, which is that most of the growth rate that is in fact rising at the moment is also being attributed to India's manufacturing sector. Having said that, what does that mean at a time when India, as we already know, is competing with China in terms of manufacturing?
So it's a very positive sign, because for several years, in fact, the private sector was very wary of investing. Our capacity utilization was low, but currently it seems like, looking at the numbers, manufacturing sector has shown very robust growth, and that's definitely a very encouraging sign.
All right. In fact, I'm also joined in by Mr. Nalin Mehta of Money Control on the phone line. Mr. Mehta, this indeed is some very good news, not just for the government, but for the country as well. That too at a very critical juncture, days away from the Lok Sabha election.
So absolutely. I mean, the number of 8.4% in this quarter, which has been released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, this completely beats all previous expectations of what was expected by economists and others. So this is a huge fillip for the Modi government for sure, and I think it kind of is an indicator that will bolster the government narrative that the economy is doing well, and it counters the naysayers in that sense. So just before the election, a number like this, the fact that it's difficult to remember the last time we had 8% plus growth in a quarter. So in that sense, this is higher than the advanced estimates.
Nalin, what is your assessment of the remarkable double-digit growth that we are now witnessing, that is at a rate of 11.6%, especially in the manufacturing sector, at a time when India is also seen as a competitive alternative to China? What does this mean for the manufacturing hub of our country?
So I think that this is something the government has often been talking about. So in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a huge shift in the manufacturing sector. One of those, for example, if you look at, say, mobile phones, for example, or look at electronics, you've gone from, say, 95% imports to a significant amount of domestic production. About 11% of iPhones globally this year are likely to be manufactured in India. So I think there's been a shift in this indicator, and the numbers indicate that.
There's a solid performance in the construction sector as well, with a growth rate of 9.5%. What has been your assessment of this growth rate?
So, no, absolutely. I mean, as far as this is concerned, I think this is also linked to the big infrastructure push that is currently happening. If you saw the numbers in the budget, those kind of scaled that the infrastructure push. But in the last 2 or 3 years, one of the signature themes of leitmotifs of the government's policies have been on pushing capital investment in infrastructure. So construction, I think, is seeing the benefit of that.
Absolutely. In fact, economists and research agencies had projected a growth rate of anything between 6.8 to up to 7%. But what we've seen as far as the data today is concerned, that's exceeded 7%. That's clearly going on to indicate that even the projections have been left behind.
That's true. So what happens is that because this is so much higher than the margin of error, and I think polls often kind of get like a median range. So in that sense, this has been unexpected, and it's a good sign for India.
And when you talk about the farm sector, the numbers were expected to slide as far as the farm sector growth is concerned. How has been your assessment of what we've seen as far as the farm sector is concerned?
So on the farm sector, I think, I think there's no secret that there has been an issue in agriculture. We have a very large percentage of the population that is still dependent on agriculture, and the whole agitation you're seeing, or the issues in North India at least, or parts of North India seeing with the farmers' agitation, are linked to that. In agriculture, there is a whole issue around diversification of crops in states where we did have diversification, like Madhya Pradesh, and there's been a huge shift in a state like that. It's also contingent on what the global markets are, and so on. So I think agriculture is very much a sector that needs reform, and it's very much a work in progress.
How do you put the numbers into perspective now, politically speaking, in this election year? At a time we've already seen farm protests plague the national capital and its borders. Is this good news?
So politically, one of the big critiques of the Modi government by the opposition has often been around economic growth. Essentially, the critique has been that, look, while we are growing, while we are the fastest growing big economy in the world, we're now the third, fourth largest economy. So, but the opposition has always said, yeah, that's fine, but that would have happened anyway. And they've also said that, look, this growth is not enough. You need a much higher multiple of growth because our needs are also increasing. So I think when you get a growth number which is upwards of 8%, that kind of allows the government to say, well, we've now really, that pace of growth is increasing. 8% is a very high number. So politically, I think it gives the government a lever to push back on and to answer critics on that grounds.
All right, many thanks to you, Nalin, for bringing in all those latest inputs. And with that, in fact, let's quickly cut live to the Poshan Utsav, which we all know is being hosted by the Ministry of Women and Child Development.
Also join us today, so a very warm welcome goes out to all of you. Friends, to promote cultural heritage and traditional nutritional practices, a coffee table book, Poshan Utsav, sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has been curated by the Deen Dayal Research Institute. This 270-plus page volume is designed to serve as an atlas on food, on offering insights from diverse cultural, social, economic, and scientific perspectives. So we'd like to share with you a short film that tells us more on the book.
In India, food is more than just sustenance. It's a way of life, deeply intertwined with culture, tradition, and thousands of years of nutritional science. The Indian food experience is a rendition and a celebration of India's rich heritage and culinary legacy with each bite. With the dedicated work of Deen Dayal Research Institute, DRI, under the guidance of Ministry of Women and Child Development and the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, this legacy is now encapsulated in the Poshan Utsav book and other mediums of its name.
नेशन और न्यूट्रिशन का बहुत गहरा संबंध होता है। हमारे यहाँ एक कहावत है, यथा अन्नम तथा मन्नम, यानी जैसा अन्न होता है वैसा ही हमारा मानसिक और बौद्धिक विकास भी होता है।
Sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Poshan Utsav book celebrates nutrition through the numerous cultural practices followed in the diverse populace of India. Poshan Utsav is a step forward in the nation's mission to combat malnutrition. It fosters healthier communities by sensitizing young children and women to age-appropriate good health practices to address the challenges of malnutrition in the country. Within its 270-plus pages, the volume encloses centuries of scientific knowledge and societal wisdom, which has empowered the nutrition of generations of Indians. The Poshan Utsav book and multimedia highlights Indian culinary practices of several centuries, dating from the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization to the present practices in Indian homes, temples, and other places of importance. This atlas celebrates India's cultural diversity, covering its 15 geographical zones and highlighting various cultural dimensions of nutrition, including folk songs, tales, social customs, and festivals. Catering to the curiosity of today's generation, it also endeavors to provide a modern lens to analyze inherited traditional wisdom with detailed tables explaining traditions in terms of modern science prepared by nutritionists from DRI and with advice of Ayurveda practitioners. It even throws light on signature Indian dishes such as khichdi and pan, which have enthralled billions of Indians over centuries. The Poshan Utsav book and multimedia even dwells deep into the celebratory food practices in India, associated with the numerous festivals as well as important occasions like birth, marriage, and death. A product of intense labor, even through the COVID-marred period, the Poshan Utsav book and multimedia is a one-of-a-kind effort to document the nutritional value hidden in each and every plate of food in India. Through India's centuries-old knowledge, the Poshan Utsav book and multimedia will be the flag bearer for healthier culinary habits and a more nutritional food intake for people across the globe.
The Poshan Utsav book has been curated by the Deen Dayal Research Institute, and it is a comprehensive repository for appreciation of the rich culinary heritage and, of course, the nutritional diversity of our country. It seeks to revive ancient nutrition traditions, facilitate knowledge exchange and intergenerational learning. So I'd like to now request the Honourable Minister and Mr. Gates to please release this special book that will be beneficial to all, and in fact, all of us should have a copy of it in our homes. This has been conceptualized by the Ministry of Women and Child Development and, of course, sponsored by the Gates Foundation. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Women and Child Development is constantly looking for innovative measures to reach out to women and children across the country to enable change for the better in their lives. And today, another unique and innovative initiative is being shared with you, wherein a cartoon coalition born out of a collaboration between the renowned cartoon entities announces its support for the cause of good nutrition in children by leveraging popular cartoon characters. We'd take a short look at this film first, and then we'll have the cartoon characters join up on stage.
In 2018, a beacon of hope was ignited. The Poshan Abhiyan, a flagship initiative of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi.
Namaste,
The initiative entrusted the Ministry of Women and Child Development with a vital mission to improve nutritional outcomes for pregnant women, lactating mothers, children, and adolescent girls.
Poshan Abhiyan, the largest nutrition program in the world, is housed here very much in India, courtesy the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi. Today, we service the need of 7 crore 50 lakh children under the age of 6, 2.5 crore lactating mothers across 14 lakh Anganwadis with the help of 22 lakh Anganwadi Didis. We also, through the Ministry of Women and Child Development, service the largest technological platform in the world dedicated particularly to nutrition, and we call it the Poshan Tracker. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi wanted that the nutrition center, namely the Anganwadi, not only be reduced to just issues of nutrition. And that is why now we have Poshan Bhi and Padhai Bhi, early childhood education and care for young families and young children.
The Poshan Abhiyan scheme of the Ministry of Women and Child Development is taking forward the vision of Suposhit Bharat to greater heights.
For the first time, we are creating a cartoon coalition so that communication with regards to nutrition can reach our children in a very friendly and fun fashion.
चाचा जी, क्यों ना आज कहीं घूमने चले?
A new dimension has been added, that of making India's popular cartoon characters talk to children on the need to adopt healthy lifestyles and make the right choices in nutrition. Together, these cherished cartoon characters will not only entertain but also educate, inspire and imbibe, instill and adopt lifelong good habits to promote wellness and nourishment in children.
हमारे सामने ढेर सारी सेहतमंद और टेस्टी चीजें हैं।
This initiative emphasizes making children the champions of change for a healthier nation.
We are delighted to be partnering with the Ministry of Women and Child Development for Poshan Abhiyan. These two very, very popular characters, Shambhu and Supandi, are going to be coming into the homes of every Indian child and give them the message of good health, good diet, which will create an India which is bright, strong and happy.
Chacha Chaudhary is the most trusted character, and we are sure that it would effectively give the message of women and child development of the right portion to our consumers.
Characters like Elmo and Chumki connect with children in a playful way. While fostering healthy habits, they can put a smile on a child's face. Sesame Street is very proud to be a part of the Poshan Se Padhai Tak mission and its cartoon coalition.
Unfolding as Poshan Se Padhai Tak, the mission is bringing together beloved cartoon characters to demonstrate the power of cartoons as a potent medium to bring about positive behavior change.
We are a part of the coalition. Are you?
Let us join hands for ushering in a big change in every Indian plate. Be a part of the revolution for the well-rounded development of children, where along with studies and sports, healthy, nutritious diets become part of children's lifestyles. Poshan Se Padhai Tak, एक नए, स्वस्थ और कुशल भारत की ओर.
I'd like to now invite the few cartoon characters that we have here, Chacha Chaudhary, Shambhu, Supandi and Elmo to please come up. They're going to come up behind you. Chacha Chaudhary, the most popular character in India. We've got Shambhu with his laid-back demeanor. Supandi is this one with his innocent charm. And of course, you've got Elmo, the 3.5-year-old monster with a cheerful voice. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our cartoon characters. A collaboration between NIPCCD under the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Amar Chitra Katha, the oldest storyteller of India. 57 years of storytelling that they have undertaken with over 465 titles, both individual and special issues. They've got individual comics as well as other comics that cover the genres of mythology, history, folk tales, and literature. This has been undertaken between the NIPCCD and the Amar Chitra Katha in the form of an MOU for developing an illustrated Amar Chitra Katha comic on healthy nutrition practices to bring about awareness and behavior change. This special edition comic book will highlight the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister on Viksit Bharat and also promote the concern for environmental sustainability by planting of trees and conserving water bodies. And children play a pivotal role as key agents who embody the seeds for positive change. I'd like to invite both the signatories of this MOU, Ms. Tripti Gurha from the NIPCCD and Mr. Sabyasachi Dev, to please come up and exchange the MOUs in the presence of the Honorable Minister and Mr. Gates. The comic will begin with healthy dietary habits, building on the aspects of good nutrition, safe food practices, and the importance of dietary diversification. The comic will also have quizzes and games to engage the children. Ladies and gentlemen, the central message of good nutrition, particularly for young children and for women, is to sensitize them on good food habits and a healthy lifestyle. As this nutrition revolution gains ground, we hope to keep strengthening the message of good nutrition among the masses. And as part of the government's outreach, 14 lakh comic books themed on nutrition in 11 languages is being made available at all the Anganwadis across the country. Here's a short film on this.
One fine morning on their way to the Anganwadi center, Chunmun and Minku begin discussing the food they carry for lunch. Unlike what children their age drool over, these two from a remote village in India share their delight in having nutrient-rich green vegetables, fruits and porridge for lunch that day. Both Chunmun and Minku understand the importance of a well-balanced diet and proper nutrition for healthy bodies and sharp minds. Such awareness towards proper nutrition is now celebrated in the farthest corners of India, nurtured by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's pioneering Poshan Abhiyan Jan Andolan. This national movement strives to improve nutrition for women and children. To further this noble cause, the Ministry of Women and Child Development presents the Poshan Comics. Like the tale of Chunmun and Minku, the Poshan Comics bring short, fun and educational tales for little kids as well as their mothers on the importance of balanced diets, governmental programs and time-honored practices for robust health. Flipping through the graphic and fun pages of the comic unfolds centuries-old culture of nutrition from all parts of India. The power of mother's milk for infants, qualities of millet, ragi, jowar, kutki and other nutritious grains, importance of regular vaccination for kids, are just some of the vital lessons that the Poshan comic shares with readers of all ages. It also highlights the numerous government initiatives for the cause, including the Anganwadi programs, building a healthy India right from the grassroots level. To share these fun and enlightening stories with as many mothers and their children as possible, 14 lakh copies of the Poshan comics are being distributed through Anganwadi centers located pan-India. Today, the comic book enthralls millions of Indian kids and women with its vital knowledge in 11 languages.
May I now invite the co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Bill Gates, to please share his thoughts.
Well, hello everyone, and I want to thank Mr. Irani for the great invitation to share some thoughts. I have to admit, when I first looked at my agenda for India and it said I was going to a comic event, I wasn't quite sure what it was about. But then when I heard it was about nutrition, I said, okay, that's my favorite topic. If we need comics to get the word out, let's have comics. And so I really appreciate the creative way that the ministry is working to teach kids about food in a way that will connect with them. Poshan Utsav is a great example of incorporating local context and cultural practices to promote nutritional foods across India's diverse communities. Minister, your efforts to improve nutrition outcomes, expand childcare, and provide opportunities for women's economic empowerment are driving progress for India's women and girls. And as we all know, when you improve the life of a woman, there's a ripple effect. You improve her community and her country. In India, we've seen that this progress can be lasting and achieved on a massive scale. I know we have some great health workers here today. You have an important job and a hard one. So I'm glad excuse me, you're being equipped with new tools like the Poshan Tracker to ensure that children in your communities are well nourished and healthy. Indian industry is also contributing to important advances that will help here and around the world. Indian manufacturing has played a key role in developing low-cost, high-quality vaccines that have saved countless lives. Companies here are also working to lower the cost of new advances in probiotics, multiple micronutrient supplements, and a single infusion IV iron to treat anemia, furthering the tools available to address nutritional challenges for women and children. I'm optimistic that we'll continue to see a lot of progress in nutrition in the years ahead, and that India will be at the forefront of that progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now invite the Honourable Minister for Women and Child Development and Minority Affairs, Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani, to please address the gathering.
It's only in India that Bill Gates can go from making khichdi to eating it to meeting somebody who makes tea to a chaiwala who became the Prime Minister to then coming to an evening and launching a cartoon coalition. Mr. Gates, I'm grateful for your sense of adventure, for your generosity, and for your continued support to the Prime Minister's flagship scheme, Poshan Abhiyan. When the Honorable Prime Minister pronounced Poshan Abhiyan in 2018, and I'd like to contextualize a bit, that nutrition as a national effort has been undertaken since the 1970s. However, when Prime Minister Modi took office, for the first time in the history of our country, not one, not two, but 18 ministries across the government of India were brought together under the national flagship scheme called Poshan. And why so? Because the Prime Minister believes in collaboration. Collaboration and cooperative federalism was one of his governance agendas. और जो हिंदी में मेरे वाक्यों को सुनने के लिए इच्छुक हैं, क्योंकि मिस्टर गेट्स हमारे मेहमान हैं, इसलिए सर्वप्रथम मैं अंग्रेजी में बोल रही हूँ, फिर हिंदी में आपकी सुविधा के लिए अनुवाद करूँगी, विशेषता आंगनवाड़ी दीदियाँ जो बैठी हुई हैं उनके लिए. Mr. Gates, I told the Anganwadi Didis that I shall first give my speech a go in English and then translate a little for their convenience. In 2018, when the program started, Prime Minister Modi was essentially of the opinion that nutrition cannot be the responsibility of one division, one desk, one department. And that is why when 18 ministries came together, what happened? Since the 1970s up to 2018, there was no budgetary allowance for safe drinking water and sanitation within our Anganwadi systems. Now we all know who have been part of governance that till such time a thing is not budgeted, it rarely gets done. For the first time in our history of our country, there was a call to action to ensure every Anganwadi is digitally enabled so that transference of data, service delivery to the last mile can be tracked. Nobody ever imagined that the Anganwadi Didi who would take one register from one house to another would be digitally equipped enough to then not only put in data into the device, but also compute that data and then informing herself better to engage with the beneficiary to a productive end. For instance, handheld devices now are available to 1.2 million Anganwadis across the country. Every month, Anganwadi Didis measure 75 million children under the age of 6 as per WHO standards across the country. और जितनी आंगनवाड़ी बहनें आज यहाँ उपस्थित हैं उनको विशेष कहना चाहती हूँ. Mr. Gates, all of them are aware of the Poshan tracker, but nobody amongst them is aware who helped us get it done. मैं आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि जब कोविड आया तब हमने बिल गेट्स फाउंडेशन से संपर्क किया कि भले ही आंगनवाड़ी बंद है लेकिन हमारा काम बंद नहीं हुआ है. इसलिए जो हैंड हेल्ड डिवाइस हमारी बहनों के पास है उसमें हम एक ऐसा टेक्नोलॉजिकल प्लेटफॉर्म देना चाहते हैं जिसमें आप हर हमारे बच्चे को और जो गर्भवती महिलाएं हैं उनको आपके बेनिफिशरीज को उस पर ट्रैक कर सकें. Mr. Gates, today not only do we celebrate the fact that 100 million beneficiaries are receiving their monthly support through the Poshan tracker, but what the tracker has also managed to do is inform us better about the nutritional status of children and lactating mothers in our country. Point in case, the National Family Health Survey has a sample size of 600,000 families, on the basis of which we in the country are informed about the status of children with regards to SAM and MAM. However, once Poshan Tracker became operationalized in India, we found out that when we measured 75 million children as per WHO standards, the numbers for SAM and MAM came down by 12%, which is a huge gain for the nutrition ecosystem in India. Now that today we have pronounced not only the Cartoon Coalition, but also we have dedicated to the country Poshan Utsav, an amalgamation of cultural practices with regards to nutrition around the country. Mr. Gates, my particular thanks for this initiative because it is done by a purely Indian research institution. On issues of gender and nutrition, we have time and again in India seen most of the discourse is informed by foreign academia, by foreign intelligentsia. That your foundation in India supported Indian intellectual capacities is what we also celebrate today through Poshan Utsav. not only in nutrition, but also on issues of gender, when it comes to research in gender budgeting, when it comes to research with regards to climate change and the impact on women and children. The Gates Foundation has partnered productively with the Ministry of Women and Child Development to ensure that not only does the foundation reach out and encourage advocacy and communication on nutrition, but also support institutions that are home-born, bred and can meet global standards. एक मज़े की बात और, यहाँ पर मंच पर मुझे और बिल गेट्स जी को किताब दी गई ताकि हम इसका विमोचन कर सके, बट नोइंग मिस्टर गेट, ही थिंक्स अहेड ऑफ टाइम. तो सुबह जब ये प्रधानमंत्री जी से मिले थे, पहली कॉपी मंच को नहीं, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को समर्पित की गई. इसलिए दे से मिस्टर गेट्स, दुनिया गोल है, द वर्ल्ड इज राउंड. और हम कहते हैं दुनिया गोल है क्योंकि जहाँ से मिले थे वहीं एक दिन फिर मिलेंगे. दैट वी शैल ऑल मीट अगेन. आई डोंट नो वेदर यू विल बी कुकिंग खिचड़ी, आई डोंट नो वेदर यू विल बी ड्रिंकिंग चाय. I know this, whatever you're cooking, Mr. Gates, it'll be good for the agenda of nutrition and gender justice. So all I can say as Minister, Women and Child Development, happy cooking, Mr. Gates.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Gates. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the close of such an important and crucial program. Thank you for joining us this evening for this milestone event, and we hope to foster a healthier lifestyle among children and adults. If I could request Chacha Chaudhary to please come up and join the Honorable Minister. Uparai. Do you want him in the center? Chacha Chaudhary with Mr. Bill Gates and the Honorable Minister. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
In association,
Sheikh Shahjahan has been taken into custody by the West Bengal police, and a 10-day police custody has also been granted by the West Bengal courts as well. So yes, there are other cases in which Sheikh Shahjahan's name has come up, be it in the money laundering case or molestation against several women where the names have come up. We have seen over the past 50 to 55 days as to how this entire controversy was brewing continuously, where the leaders from the Bharatiya Janata Party were actually trying to reach on ground. In fact, the top officers of the West Bengal police also reached on the ground, open camps for encouraging women to actually come out and talk about their complaints. So yes, this controversy has been going on. We are expecting that some sort of action might be taken by the West Bengal police, but yes, at this point the Enforcement Directorate is also looking at the proceedings very, very closely.
Absolutely, we'll have to wait and watch how the law enforcement in fact proceeds as far as charges those charges against Sheikh Shahjahan with regards to molesting women is concerned. But in fact, I'm going to dive deeper with you, Anshul, as far as the PDS scam case is concerned. But at the moment, let's also listen to the political reactions that have come in before we take this conversation forward.
शेख शाहजहां की आज की अरेस्ट के बाद यह सबूत होता है कि तृणमूल कांग्रेस सरकार इनको राजधर्म पालन करना आता है. जिस तरीके से ये जीरो टॉलरेंस टू करप्शन से मुंह पे नहीं बोलता है, काम में करके भी दिखाती है. हमारा चीफ मिनिस्टर बहुत पहले कह चुकी है कि जो आम आदमी के खिलाफ कुछ करेगा उसको कोई रिहा नहीं किया जाएगा.
देखिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की लगातार आंदोलन की वजह से ये सरकार बाध्य हुई शेख शाहजहां को गिरफ्तार करने के लिए. पहले से तो ये सरकार डिनायल मोड में था, एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहा था कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ है. तो हमने पहले से ही बोला था, मैंने पहले से ही बोला था कि सरकार को बाध्य करेंगे, घुटने पे ले आएंगे कि शेख शाहजहां को गिरफ्तार करने के लिए ये बाध्य हो जाएगी.
Sheikh Shahjahan has been arrested. We welcome the steps of state police. You see, our leader Abhishek Banerjee earlier pointed out that due to some parts of order from Honorable High Court, state police has been restrained from taking any action.
इसलिए ये अरेस्ट नहीं है, ये म्यूचुअल एडजस्टमेंट है। जितना टाइम तक सेंट्रल एजेंसी इसको हिरासत में नहीं लेगा, उतना टाइम तक वहां का पीड़ित जनता को न्याय नहीं मिलेगा।
Not in this case. In this case, the complaint did not pertain to 354 at all.
Any sexual assault case against Shahjahan sir till now?
There have been many cases. I don't remember exact nitty-gritties of all the cases. There have been many cases after 7th, 8th or 9th February. But like I said, let me reiterate, all those cases which have been registered since 8th or 9th February, they pertain to incidents which had taken place 2 or 3 years back. And investigating them, gathering evidence, marshalling evidence takes time, takes a reasonable amount of time, particularly in terms of cases which had happened 2 years back. But this was a case, in the case in which he has been forwarded, it took place, as you all know, on 5th January during the course of a ED raid in Najat PS area.
The ED sources have now shared exclusive information with CNN News 18 with regards to Sheikh Shahjahan's arrest. The High Court, they are saying, had asked the West Bengal police to arrest Sheikh Shahjahan, and today he has been arrested by West Bengal police, and that it is evident that he was in touch with the police. The court had ordered a stay on Sheikh Shahjahan's arrest in one case, but there were other cases in which the Bengal police could have arrested him, but they did not. The question now that the Enforcement Directorate is posing is, why has Sheikh Shahjahan been arrested today? Why wasn't this arrest done earlier? For more details, let's quickly go across to Anshul, who's bringing us this information. Anshul, remember, the Bengal police has been very quick, and not just the Bengal police, but even TMC leaders like Abhishek Banerjee have said that there were legal ramifications to his arrest, and there were hurdles, which is why he was not being able to get arrested. But having said that, how the Bengal police always latched on to the Enforcement Directorate to sort of camouflage why Sheikh Shahjahan was not arrested so far?
Well, definitely there is a big controversy going on between the West Bengal police and the Enforcement Directorate. This morning in the press conference that was done by the West Bengal police, they had raised question that there was a stay that was granted by the court, and hence the West Bengal police could not go ahead and arrest Sheikh Shahjahan, whereas there was no stay for the Enforcement Directorate to go ahead and arrest him. Why didn't the Enforcement Directorate arrest him now? To this, what sources within the ED have told CNN News 18 at this point in time is that when they went to question Sheikh Shahjahan at his residence, they had credible information that there is a huge stash of cash and there is a huge stash of black money that could be stacked at his house, and that is the reason why Sheikh Shahjahan went ahead and attacked the ED officials. Post at the manner in which the investigations were done by the West Bengal police, that is also a very big question mark. Also, the Enforcement Directorate has said that there should be a parallel investigation that should happen, that who within the administration was actually trying to shield Sheikh Shahjahan, and in fact helped him to do away with the money and weapons that were stashed at his house as well. Now, what sources within the Enforcement Directorate are telling us that they will be keeping a very close eye on the investigation that is being carried out by the West Bengal police. Also, the manner in which the West Bengal police has gone ahead and registered several FIRs against Sheikh Shahjahan. This seems to be a tactic by the West Bengal administration to keep Sheikh Shahjahan away from the hands of central agencies like ED and CBI, because remember, once the police custody is granted for one case, there is a limit of 14 days for the accused to be granted a police custody, and until and unless that accused is sent to judicial custody, the Enforcement Directorate cannot go ahead and ask for their custody to be handed over to them. So yes, this is what the ED is suspecting at this point in time, and that is the reason why they say that they will be keeping a very close eye on this entire investigation, and they will also make sure that as soon as Sheikh Shahjahan is sent to judicial custody, they will try to take him under their custody, because they need to question him on the PDS scam, and not only on the PDS scam but also on the land grabbing accusations that the Enforcement Directorate is looking at this point in time. So yes, there are several things that the Enforcement Directorate needs to question Sheikh Shahjahan about. Now, since he has been arrested by the Bengal police, they will now keep a close eye on how the Bengal police will go ahead with this investigation, and not only with this investigation, as to how quickly can Sheikh Shahjahan be sent to judicial custody? Post that, Enforcement Directorate could move the courts and ask for his custody to be taken by the Enforcement Directorate themselves.
Absolutely, that's a very interesting point that you're making, that the ED can only gain access to Sheikh Shahjahan once Sheikh Shahjahan is granted judicial custody. Having said that, do take our viewers through what are the charges that he's been arrested under at the moment, because remember, Sheikh Shahjahan is someone who's been facing a host of charges. It's not just molestation of women.
Well, yes, if you see the manner in which the investigation was being done by the West Bengal police, the initial charge, there were several cases that were filed against him, and in some of the cases his name was also not registered by the West Bengal police. That is another accusation that is being put forth. Now, today in the case that he has been registered, he has been arrested for attacking ED officials or being the mastermind for that attack that happened on ED officials on February 5th, when a team of Enforcement Directorate actually tried to reach.
Welcome back. Let's bring you breaking inputs as far as India's GDP data, which has just been released of the third quarter, is concerned. In fact, Prime Minister Modi has just taken to X to share the information further. He's gone on to elaborate that a robust 8.4% GDP growth in third quarter of 2023 to 24 has shown the strength of the Indian economy and its full potential. Our efforts will continue to bring fast economic growth, which shall help 140 crore Indians lead a better life and create a Viksit Bharat. This is what Prime Minister Modi has to say. Remember, we just broke down those figures for you. There's been a tremendous push as far as the manufacturing sector is concerned. In fact, for more details, let's quickly go across to Pallavi. Pallavi, remember, you were also discussing earlier about how these figures have only gone on to shape up the BJP narrative, something we've also heard being echoed by Prime Minister today when he talks of Viksit Bharat at such a crucial juncture in terms of timing.
Absolutely right, Akanksha. In fact, the government just ahead in Lok Sabha elections, that the BJP as a political party is talking about a Viksit Bharat, which means a Bharat which is on the path to development. See, the Prime Minister has used multiple platforms to make the point that there is no stopping India from becoming among the top 5 economies in the world, and India will become a $1 trillion economy. Very few countries in the world have been able to have this kind of a massive post-COVID recovery, whether it's our infrastructure or social development, whether it comes in terms of India becoming increasingly self-reliant, and more than that, how India is now increasingly being seen as an attractive financial destination for investments. Tesla, iPhones, opening the factories over here. These are big takeaways which are coming in, and these 8.4% GDP figures are certainly going to buoy the government's enthusiasm and that of the BJP, politically speaking, just ahead of the Lok Sabha election.
Absolutely. In fact, Pallavi, stay with us because I'm also joined in by Aman. Aman, when you talk about the figures, they look extremely heartening as far as construction sector is concerned, not to forget even the manufacturing sector. Both of them only go on to indicate the kind of infrastructural push one has witnessed during the Modi government.
Well, exactly, Kansha. If you see the last year, the record amount that was allocated in the budget for the capex spend, and this year also in the interim budget, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has allocated as much as rupees 11.11 lakh crore for capex spend. So obviously, when so much money will be spent on capex and on infrastructure, we are seeing these numbers, heartening numbers coming, and this seems the government strategy as well going into the 2024 elections, the 5-year record of the government. The government is stressing that it is spending on capex, it is spending on sectors which are propelling the economy forward. And you see the Prime Minister's message also that the robust 8.4% GDP growth in Q3 of the current financial year shows the strength of the Indian economy and its potential. This is also in line with what Prime Minister Modi has been saying for the targets he has set for 2047, him saying that big decisions will be taken in a possible Modi 3.0 government after the elections. You're also saying that our efforts will continue to bring fast economic growth. And, we have seen in the last 2 years at least, post-COVID, when most of the Western economies have been struggling to come out of the pandemic era. We have seen how India has grown by leaps and bounds.
And why only just the Western countries? Let's also draw a comparison with our neighbor China, because remember, we've seen how China's own economy has been sagging, especially when it comes to their own realty sector. That has given them a huge hit, whereas when you look at our own construction sector, it's been looking up. How do you see India now shaping up as a competitor or an alternative for the Western world, especially when it comes to China, not just in terms of reality sector, but also as a manufacturing hub?
Well, absolutely. See, this has been India's aim, in fact, to become the alternative in the Indian subcontinent, be it Asia, that, India should be the market which foreign countries should look at. If we see the FDI numbers coming in, all these are heartening figures even today. In fact, in the Union Cabinet, we saw, the approval of the proposal of Micron for setting up earlier we had approved Micron for a semiconductor unit in Sanand in Gujarat. Today, 3 more semiconductor units were approved by the cabinet, in a giant leap for the entire semiconductor mission. All these new sectors, which are not only FDI magnets but also propellant for our economy, all these projects are being pushed by India. And in fact, in the run-up to elections, we will see many more decisions being taken in the next couple of weeks before the Model Code of Conduct comes into place. All of these measures are being taken to show India as a fast-growing economy, and that the efforts are being made not only just to increase capex spend but also to make India a magnet for FDIs from across the world.
Forward-looking numbers coming in as far as India's GDP of the third quarter of financial year 2023 to 24 is concerned. Many thanks to you, Aman and Pallavi, for bringing in all those inputs. In fact, Lata Venkatesh of CNBC TV 18 brings us more inputs. Let's have a quick look.
Yes, that's right. It's a mind-blowing number. For the third quarter itself, the growth has come in at 8.4% against a CNBC TV 18 poll of 6.7. So, I mean, this is like absolutely fascinating. It is, to be sure, a smaller base, because last year's base, which was 4.5, has been revised lower to 4.5 has been revised lower to 4.3. Nevertheless, 8.4 is way above what the street was expecting. What's even better, the full year number, the second advance estimate has revised the full year number to 7.6 against a previous 7.3, which itself was much higher than what the street was expecting. The CNBC TV 18 poll had put the full year number at 7.1. So it's a good half a percentage point higher, according to the second advance estimates. A part of it is explained by the lower revision of FY23, revised lower from 7.2 to 7%. But that again is because the even previous number of FY22 has been revised higher from 9.1 to 9.7. So it's revisions galore, but the net takeaway is that the economy is in fine fettle. Growth is ticking like never before. The key components of growth in the current 9 months and the third quarter is certainly not agriculture. That's actually fallen in the third quarter by 0.8%. But manufacturing has done extremely well at 11.6%. Construction is doing very well at almost double digits, 9.5%. So clearly, this is a growth driven very well by manufacturing and by services like construction. From the demand side, there is a bit of a worry because consumption, private final consumption expenditure has grown by only 3.5% in the third quarter. Government final consumption expenditure has actually contracted by 3%, but the bulk of the heavy lifting is being done by gross fixed capital formation or investment, which has grown by 10.6%. So consumption still weak. This is a growth, an extraordinary growth, which is being fueled almost entirely by investment. That's the message from the GDP numbers.
All right, and from the GDP numbers, it's time to now shift focus over to the latest coming in from West Bengal. TMC strongman Sheikh Shahjahan was finally arrested from Meena Khan in 24 Parganas of West Bengal last midnight by the West Bengal police. He has been sent to 10-day of police custody after several women came out protesting against Sheikh Shahjahan over land grab, even allegations of sexual exploitation. Former TMC leader was finally arrested at midnight by West Bengal police, even suspended today for 6 years by the Trinamool Congress. In fact, let's quickly go across to our correspondent Anshul, who's joining me with the latest. In fact, Anshul, questions are now being raised as far as the attitude and approach of the West Bengal police is concerned. You've accessed some sensational documents which go on to only validate those claims. Share with us what is the information that you've learned so far as those FIRs that were lodged but no action was taken.
Well, definitely, if you see the kind of action that was being taken against Sheikh Shahjahan by the West Bengal police, that is a big question mark at this point in time, because the evidences that we have been able to gather, or the things that we FIR's details that we have been able to gather, are actually very easily go on to point in this direction, because remember, for example, one of the FIRs that has been accessed by CNN News 18, that FIR was registered in the year June 2019, and in that one of the victims who goes by the name as Devudas Mondal, his house was actually vandalized by the people of Sheikh Shahjahan. Sheikh Shahjahan was also present on this spot, and post that another FIR was registered in which it was said that Sheikh Shahjahan had gone ahead and murdered Devujit Mandal and his father. In that entire investigation, eventually when the charge sheet was filed, the name of Sheikh Shahjahan was in fact taken down, and in fact in this FIR another 23 people were named, but eventually when the charge sheet was filed, it was filed against 6 people, and in that 6 people there were new names that were brought in. So yes, it is a big question mark if at all the West Bengal police was trying to save Sheikh Shahjahan. So yes, all these questions remains to be answered from the side of West Bengal government at this point in time. And there are other cases in which the name of Sheikh Shahjahan was mentioned in the FIR, but eventually the charge sheet in these cases were not filed, even if the charge sheet was filed, the name of Sheikh Shahjahan or the accusations that were put forth against Sheikh Shahjahan were diluted.
All right, many thanks to you, Anshul, for bringing in all those inputs. And with that, it's a quick wrap from my end over here at Plain Speak. Up next is the Hard Facts with Rahul Shivshankar.
Viewers, do you see that man on your screens? That's Sheikh Shahjahan, the most controversial figure in Bengal today. He's in police custody, arrested conveniently by the Bengal police a day before Modi's visit. In these pictures, Shahjahan is not in chains. He's walking tall. He gives off the air of someone